Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So, we have to talk about Arizona today. We covered the Arizona primary extensively on this channel for both the governorship and the Senate race. And now we're going to go general election mode, obviously. And apparently, Blake Masters is tightening the race that he has with the incumbent Mark Kelly in the state of Arizona, which is very, very interesting. And Kari Lake as well apparently seems poised to defeat Katie Hobbs at this point. The question really is by how much, because a lot of people said she wasn't electable. Then she's going out there. She's leading among independent voters. She is galvanizing the base while simultaneously pivoting well to the general election. And Blake Masters is doing the same thing. Of all the states that we've seen and that we've covered throughout the primaries, I have easily been most impressed with the slate of candidates that we have seen come out of the state of Arizona, whether it has been Blake Masters, Kari Lake, Mark Fincham, etc., some of the congressional candidates there as well. You have a lot of fighters. And Arizona is kind of what they are now in terms of what Florida was in 2018, because you saw an identity change within the state, within the state's politics, but also within the state's Republican Party, as you saw a pivot from traditional, neoconservatism, the days of Jeb Bush, the days of, Marco Rubio to a certain extent, and he's changed his rhetoric as a result, to the days of Matt Gaetz, Ron DeSantis, etc. In Arizona, you're seeing a very similar phenomenon happen. But either way, we're going general election mode, which really comes down to the fact of, can Mark Kelly and Kari Lake win? And the answer every single day seems to be pointing towards yes. And I'm going to explain why, despite Mark Kelly leading in the polls by 4 points right now, why Blake Masters is still, in my opinion, the favorite and why he is going to win at the end of the day. But first, we have to talk about our sponsor over at Support the Second Coin. You guys know it better than anybody else that our Second Amendment in this country is under attack by the Democrats, the liberals, and the left. So what better time to support gun owners, gun rights, and the Second Amendment by getting your free, just pay for shipping, Second Amendment coin from the link in the pinned comment. All of the orders are fulfilled within 24 hours on average, and this is a promotion for a limited time to celebrate the grand opening of the website. So claim yours. The link is in the pinned comment. But furthermore, we have to talk about this because a lot of liberals and people in the election mafia are going out there and they're saying Mark Kelly is going to win big and Blake Masters is an awful candidate. But you have a lot of undecided voters, and a lot of the undecided voters in all three of these polls that we've seen here disapprove of Joe Biden as well. And this is something to take into consideration that people are not really thinking about. Because Biden is somebody that is underwater in the state of Arizona. In the Emerson poll, he was underwater by 14. Some other pollsters have Biden underwater in the state by more than that. All the polls we've seen conducted recently in the state of Arizona for 2024 have Donald Trump defeating Joe Biden, including the Emerson poll, by anywhere from 3 to 5 points or so. And it's important to look at that and understand that the undecided voters, of which there are many in these polls, will likely vote against the person that has a voting record that is in line with Joe Biden 90 to 100% of the time. And Mark Kelly is somebody who got elected in the 2020 election because Martha McSally was a downright awful candidate. The base was disillusioned with her. She was a flip-flopper. And because he could play the moderate astronaut card where he'll be like another Sinema. And again, Sinema's a fake moderate herself, and we know that. But either way, Mark Kelly tried to play that role, and his voting record ever since then has been anything but. He doesn't even try to optically appear moderate. And he's been going out there, and right now he's underwater in terms of below 50 as an incumbent. And Blake Masters hasn't really spent any money on the general election so far. Now, Masters was not getting any funding from the RNC because of McConnell, and he's not getting any funding until October. But Peter Thiel has started to buy ads for the month of September for Blake Masters, which is absolutely huge. And that means that he'll start to climb up in the polls while Mark Kelly is still stuck there at 46.7% as an incumbent. And that's a big thing too, because keep in mind the poll trajectory from 2020. At this point, Mark Kelly was up by over 11 points, you could say. Actually, you have to go back about a week because the election, in 2020 took place on November 2nd. This election will be taking place on November 8th. So obviously right now it's September 10th. You go back a week or so. Mark Kelly was up by 11.3 points. He only won by just a little bit over 2. So that's a 9-point differential in the polling at this far out of the election. Then you will see the end result typically being, this is a common theme regarding Arizona. You look at 2016, you look at 2018, and you look at 2020. You see the same exact thing, Republicans surging later. Same thing with the governor's race. Doug Ducey was leading in the mid to high single digits in the polls over David Garcia. He won by 14 points or so. And you look at Kari Lake. Where is Kari Lake polling right now? She is tied. She is tied with Katie Hobbs. Katie Hobbs is under fire because Katie Hobbs is not debating. Kari Lake is somebody that's going out there. She's being very articulate in the campaign trail. She's doing a very good job speaking to voters. And a lot of these voters that are undecided have had Kari Lake in their living rooms, on their TV for years in the, Phoenix metro area because that's where she was. She was a celebrity, a local celebrity. She was in the news media. She was very popular. And is she becoming a little bit more divisive now that she's in politics and she's running for governor and, running a campaign where she doesn't really back down a whole lot? Yeah, absolutely. But it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, she's winning with independents. Katie Hobbs is downright awful. She's not likable. She tries to play to both the far left as well as the center left, I guess you would say. And it's not going to play out well for her. And she's down there at 45.3%. And Lake really hasn't galvanized the entire base yet. She's doing a good job of it. She's got a lot of high-profile endorsements on the right wing. Has a little bit more to go, obviously. We understand that. But either way, Lake is in the driver's seat. Make no mistake as of right now. And this is something that people need to understand and they need to realize. There's been a lot of pollsters. Richard Barris, he's a pollster. He's conducting a poll, I believe, right now in Arizona. And Kari Lake has a decent-sized lead in that poll with independents. She's up significantly in some of the other polls with independents, at least compared to where a lot of people would expect, because Katie Hobbs is not really that popular. It's the undecided voters that lean right, that have an unfavorable opinion of Biden. When they come home, Kari Lake's probably going to win by close to 5 points. And Blake Masters will likely be put over the top as well. And when people understand that the base hasn't fully come home yet, when people understand that these, statewide officials or, people that have been elected statewide over the past 5 years are polling at 46.7 or at 45 or whatever, you look at the math and it just does not add up to a path for sustainable victory for somebody like Mark Kelly or for somebody like Katie Hobbs, who doesn't even know how to campaign and refuses to debate. That doesn't pan out very well when you refuse to debate in most cases. Obviously, we know this. David Perdue, he refused to debate in the 2021 runoffs for the Senate. It didn't work out too well for him. He ended up losing. It's one of the many reasons why he fell and why he lost. But maybe if he debated, he wouldn't have lost. He only lost by a point or two. These debates definitely can sway elections. Not everybody watches them. They're not as closely watched as a presidential debate, but that doesn't necessarily mean that there's no significance or that the debates don't matter. But either way, you look at historical poll trajectories. You look at where the independent voters are going. You look at the undecideds and the fact that a lot of them disapprove of Joe Biden. It just does not add up to a victory for Mark Kelly. Even if he might lead in the polls now, there's no telling that he's going to be leading in the polls a couple of months from now when it's election day. And Blake Masters is getting out there. He is working from behind. I understand that, but he has the momentum. Kari Lake has the momentum. She's likely already leading in Arizona. She's leading some of the polls, which says something because a couple of months ago, she was down in the polls to Katie Hobbs by like 5 to 10 points. And so was Karen Robson, by the way, for anybody who wants to say, oh, she's not the right candidate. So was Brnovich losing to Kelly by a similar margin. Of course, the electabros like to ignore that, but the bottom line is early polls tend to not be that favorable towards Republicans, especially in recent years, especially because the polling industry has a slant to it. They have a bias. We know how this works, but either way, it seems like the polls are tightening, even within their polls. And if Blake Masters wins, then you're likely going to see Laxalt win. You are likely going to see Walker win. Oz has the momentum. If the base comes home, because he's up with independents, he's going to win. That's 53 Senate seats for the Republicans. That is a massive wave in the United States Senate. One could say the House margins of the House seats after the midterms, we don't know what those are going to be, but it's very possible. There's a clear path to victory here on this map. You look at Republicans doing better with Hispanics. You look at the fact that Kari Lake did well in Maricopa County in the primary, comparatively speaking. She did much better than a lot of people expected her to do, and it is a midterm year. And I believe that she will bring home a lot of the independent voters that watched her on their TV screens for years in the Phoenix area. I think Maricopa is going to flip Republican by a couple of points or so, and that's going to be enough to flip the state alone. And Blake Masters, he's from Pima County, might narrow the margin there. Hispanic turnout might, dip a little bit, and you're going to see him do better with suburbanites most likely. You might see Kari Lake also do better with suburbanites, and beyond that point, you're also going to see them do better with Hispanics by a marginal amount. You're going to see by the border, where Kari Lake is really a fighter on the border, has a very comprehensive border security plan. She will do very well in a place like Yuma. She might win that county by over 10. And you're looking at the county margins there. They're adding up to be a Republican victory. I would say lean R at a minimum for the governor's race. I would say tilt R for a minimum at the Senate race as of right now. Of course, these things change. It's possible the wave could be even wider. If Kelly is stuck down there at 46, that says something, because keep in mind, even though McSally was an incumbent, back in 2020, Mark Kelly was at 53% in the polls this far out of the election. That should tell you something. He didn't even get that. And Mark Kelly right now is sitting there at, 46.7 as an incumbent. You look in Georgia, Warnock is at 44. Cortez Masto's at 42 in Nevada. Fetterman is stuck at 48 in Pennsylvania. I mean, it just does not necessarily add up for a Democrat victory in this midterm cycle. And it shows. And as a result, Republicans are looking to sweep the Senate. I stand firm in that prediction. Do I believe the wave is going to be super massive in the House? Maybe not as much as we thought at the beginning of the year. But do I still believe Republicans are going to have 53 Senate seats? They're going to pick off around 30 House seats or so, and they're going to pick off 4 or 5 governorships. Yes, I do believe that they will. Because that's where we stand. Biden is still president. He's still underwater by double digits. He's underwater more now than Donald Trump was underwater at this point in 2018. And voters vote with their pocketbooks. They're also fed up with what's happening at the border. They're fed up with the fact that you can't even have clean water in some parts of this country, but the taxpayer dollars are being sent overseas to Ukraine. It shows. But either way, Arizona, it's coming home. It's coming back. It's going to vote red in 2022. I'm very confident about that, and I think it might vote red as well in 2024. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.